आज ही डाउटनेट ऐप डाउनलोड करें। डाउटनेट पर होगा अब आपके सभी मैथ्स, केमिस्ट्री, फिजिक्स और बायोलॉजी डाउट्स का सफाया। बस अपने क्वेश्चन की फोटो खींचो, उसे क्रॉप करो और तुरंत वीडियो सोल्यूशन पाओ। डाउनलोड नाउ।
Hello friends, welcome. The question states 40% of the members of the 6th grade class wore white socks, 20% wore black socks. If 25% of the remaining students, right, so remaining is important. So if 25% of the remaining students wore grey socks, what percent of the 6th grade wore socks that were not white, black or grey? Now, in order to solve this question, we need to keep in mind two different concepts. So let us look at what those concepts are. Now, whenever we have something mentioned in terms of percents, we can actually convert it to fractions by simply dividing by 100. So if I have 25% given to me, right, I can convert it to fraction by simply dividing by 100. So I have 25 upon 100, which is equals to 1 by 4. So 25 cancels out with 100, which becomes 1 by 4, because 25 is, so 100 is 4 times 25, so it is 1 by 4. Similarly, if I need to write 40%, right, if I have to write 40%, it is nothing but 40 upon 100. So this is equals to 0 and 0 cancelled out, and if we cancel out by 2, I am going to get 2 by 5, because 2 times 2 is 4 and 5 times 2 is 10, right? So I'm going to get 2 by 5 by cancelling by 2. So similarly, we can do for other percentages also. Now, the second concept that we need to keep in mind is, suppose we want to find a fraction of some other fraction, right? So for example, if I have been given 1 by 2, right? So this is the second concept that we need to keep in mind. So if I have given 1 by 2 and I want to find half of this or 50% of this. So 1 by 2, 50%. So 50% of 1 by 2 is what? We are going to simply multiply it by 50%. Now, I just told that if you want to represent in terms of fractions, we are simply going to divide by 100. So 50% is going to become 50 by 100. And if we cancel out, this becomes 1 by 2. So 50% of 1 by 2 is nothing but 1 by 2 into 1 by 2. And this is equals to 1 by 4, right? That means 50% of 1 by 2 is 1 by 4. So when we are finding 50%, we simply multiply it by 1 by 2, which is the fraction form of 50%. Similarly, if you will say what is the 50% of, say, 1 by 4, I'm going to multiply 1 by 4 by simply 1 by 2, right? So this is another example. So 1 by 4 into 1 by 2 is equals to 1 by 8. So 50% of, because this was 50% which came out to be 1 by 2, so 50% of 1 by 4, so multiplying it by 1 by 2, we obtain 1 by 8. So 50% of 1 by 4 is 1 by 8. So this was the first thing that we used. Second thing was that we are simply multiplying the percentages to an entity or to a value to obtain that percent of that entity or that value. Third thing, that is total is equal to 1, which is equals to 100%. So total of anything is always 100%. Now, the question says 40% of the members of the 6th grade class wore white socks, 20% wore black socks. And we know that the total is 100%. So if 40% wore white and 20% wore black, what will be the left one? So it will going to be 100%, so left out, is equal to 100% minus 40% who wore white socks. So minus 60% of white minus, so it is 40%, sorry. So it is going to be 40% of white, right? And minus 20% black. So 20% black. So this corresponds to white. This corresponds to black. So the left out is going to be 100 minus 40 minus 20. So it's going to be 100 minus 60, which is 40%. So we have left out as 40%, simple. So it says 20% for black socks, right? So if 25% of the remaining, so this is the remaining or the left out that we have already found. So if 25% of the remaining students wore grey socks, what percent of the 6th grade wore socks that were not white, black or grey? That means, let us first find out how many of these wore grey socks. So it says 25% of the remaining. So we need to find 25% of this. right? And here we checked out the fact that if we want to find some percent of something in this second, then we simply multiply. So 40%, and we need to find out 25% of this 40%. So it is equal to nothing but 40% into 20%. 25%. So it's going to be into 25%. And here we obtain 25% as 1 by 4. So it is going to be 40% into 1 by 4. So this is nothing but 10%. Or I can say that this was 25% of the remaining students were gray socks. So this was for gray, right? So we had left out value as 40%. So this was 40%, right? And from this 40%, the amount of students wearing gray was 25%. So simply multiplied by 25%. And 25% was 1 by 4. So we have 40% into 1 by 4, which is 10%. So gray is 20%, 10%. So this is gray, right? Now, so the question says, what percent of the 6 kids wore socks that were not white, black or gray? So total is 100%. It is for every case like we saw over here. Total is 1, which is 100%. From this, 40% is wearing white. So the question says, socks that were not white, black or gray. So white is 40%. So 100% minus 40% for white. Minus 20%. So black is also there. So minus 20%. So minus 20% for black. And finally, gray. So it should also not be gray. So minus 10% for gray. And if we calculate this, we are going to get the leftover amount. So 100% minus 40% minus 20% minus 10%. So this sum is 40 plus 20 is 60 plus 10 is 70. So 100% minus 70%, which is equals to 30%. Or I can say that this 30% is nothing but the students who were wearing other color socks. Others. So we were asked to find if 25% of the remaining students wore grey socks, what percent of the students wore socks that were not white, black or grey? And we obtained the value as 30%, which is our answer. So again briefing, first what we learned how to convert percentage to fractions by simply dividing by 100, right? Second, we learned if we are given a value in fraction or percentage and we want to find a particular percent of that, we simply we simply convert that percent into fraction and multiply. So like if you want to find 50% of 1 by 2, we multiplied it by 50 by 100 or the fraction form of it. And we obtained the value as 1 by 2, which is the original entity, into 1 by 2 or 1 by 4. Similarly, we did over here too. So we wanted to find 40% into 25% or 25% of 40%. So what we did, 40% into 25%, and 25% was 1 by 4. So 40% into 1 by 4, which comes out to be as 10%. So this was the first concept, this was the second concept, and third concept was that total is always 1 or 100%. So this is in terms of fractions and this is in terms of percentages. So what we did now, we found out the leftover. So for 100% minus 40% minus 20%, which came out to be 40%. And then from that 40%, we found out the value of gray as 10%. So out of total 100%, we had 10% gray because it was 25% of 40% or 1 by 4 of 40%. Then we subtracted from total each of these individual values and obtained the other colors or the socks which were not white, black or gray as 30%. That is it guys. Thank you so much for watching.
क्लास 6 से 12 से लेके नीट IIT JEE मेंस और एडवांस के लेवल तक 10 मिलियन से ज़्यादा स्टूडेंट्स का भरोसा। आज ही डाउनलोड करें डाउटनेट ऐप या व्हाट्सएप कीजिए अपने डाउट्स 8400 400 400 पर।